Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday, September 30th, 2018. I am recording this after 9 o'clock here in New York, of course, so it's Eastern Daylight Time. Anybody is wondering. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the last standings, the overview of what the standings look like, to wrap up the 2018 Major League Baseball season, as the Central and the Western divisions in the National League have not been decided yet. I will go into that in this video, and that's why this video was intentionally set for tonight. So I will be discussing that. Also, I want to mention the award winners. I will be discussing that in November because right now it's just not appropriate to bring that up, of course, and I will discuss that in a different video when it comes to that time where the award winners are going to be handed out in the month of November. So stay tuned for that. But in this video, we have to stay on topic, look at the standings. Normally, if divisions were decided, then I could show you the playoff picture. But right now, the picture is not completely set in stone. But I know the American League is set. I'll go into that for a second. So, if I can get my mind straight, I heard a weird noise outside. So, first up, the divisional series between the Cleveland Indians and the Houston Astros have been set for a long time now. Houston will get home field with a record of 103-59. That is about the second best record in the American League. Cleveland 91-71, so that means they get the third seed, which also means they get no wild card games. That's important for them. The American League, Boston's clinched the American League. That's what we need to know differently in the National League, and I'll go into that as we go along here. But the Red Sox won today, so that finishes their season at 108-54. The Yankees, first time since 2009 that they have held 100 games in a season. So that's 162. The Tampa Bay Rays go off on a good note. They finish about, I would say the numbers are right, 18 games above 500. So that's very good news for Rays fans. They had something to watch this season that was enjoyable. And the Blake Snell thing, I think, was the whole highlight of the season. You know, Rays fans were like, we have somebody that, is going to help us win a Cy Young, and, obviously that's the whole point here. But, again, my opinions on the award winners will come when the time comes next month. So, yes, here's Houston at 103-59. So we'll just quickly take a look at who had the worst record in the American League. So the Orioles today, even though they won, they will finish their season at 47-115, which is not the worst record of all time. The worst record will still stand with the 1962 New York Mets. Now, obviously, that team is not, different than this team, of course, but quickly want to look at the records for Oakland at 97-65. Very important that we keep that in mind, of course. Mariners finish above 500, so that's another good sign that who knows? Maybe the Mariners will finally get over the hump eventually. But I don't know how long that time span is going to go away. Because if you have a team and you think you're good enough to at least get a playoff spot, let's hope the Mariners can do something proper next season. Let's see what happens there. But the Yankees, 100 wins. They also beat the 97 Mariners for most home runs hit in a regular season. So that number is important to discuss. So here's the situation right now. The best record in baseball tomorrow is up on the line as the Cubs will be playing the Brewers for the National League Central. Now, I will confirm to you all that that game, let me make sure I can get it right. I have to confirm where the game would be played, of course, but here's the situation. Chicago and Milwaukee are tied. at 95-67. The Cardinals finished off at 88-74. They needed a miracle to stay in the hunt for the playoff race, but that didn't happen. Obviously, because Milwaukee just got hot at the right time. So, obviously, the Brewers and the Cubs have to play for the best record in the National League. The Braves had the second best record at 90-72. Let me confirm that. Oh, okay. My bad, folks. My bad. So, here's the situation with the records. Atlanta will have the third best record. So that would mean whoever wins the Colorado Dodger game, and this is another important thing, they're both tied at 91-71. Because the Dodgers creamed the Giants today. Rockies were able to take care of the Nationals. So pretty much now it comes down to a final deciding game for the National League West. Now, here's the situation in that. The loser of the game will play in the National League wildcard game on Tuesday. Alright? So, the loser, they still have a chance to save their season, but they're going to have to play on Tuesday. And by Tuesday, we will know. I'll know the matchups tomorrow night, and I'll do a video about that, of course. But yes, we do have to figure out who will be playing in the National League wildcard game, because the loser of both the West and the Central games will have to play a one-game playoff on Tuesday night. The schedule for tomorrow is. And this is remarkable, folks. I retweeted this, so then that when you walk on my Twitter feed, Andy's Randomness. The remarkable thing about this is, and this is just phenomenal here, what's at stake tomorrow, is that this is the first time in league history, and, I feel that this is going to be undercovered as well. Underreported as well, because the whole country should really find a distraction away from Trump, but that's a whole different story. But this is a good distraction because when you look at it, this has never happened before. This has never happened in the history of baseball. That we're going to have 2 one-game tiebreakers in the same seasons. Never happened before. So the schedules will be Brewers, Cubs. So it looks like the Cubs will be having home field tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern, which would be high noon in Chicago tomorrow. And then the Rockies and the Dodgers will be at 4 p.m. Eastern. And both games will be televised on ESPN. So once again, I'm going to clarify that. Both games will be on ESPN Radio, and I'm assuming hopefully both games will be on ESPN Radio tomorrow if you can't be in front of a television. I'm pretty sure the ESPN app or the TuneIn app would be the most likely destinations for your listening pleasure for tomorrow's games, of course. So now we're going to break down the matchups for tomorrow. So here's what we know right now. This is, of course, Brewers at the Cubs. So the Cubs will have home field, of course. So it will be 105. And of course, watch ESPN, which is the ESPN app, of course. So we will read this right now. So, pretty much back in 2015, the Mets were 0-7 against the Cubs in the regular season, but then swept them in the National League Central. That was a perfect illustration on why we shouldn't use the season series as meaningful when talking about postseason games. I know this is technically a regular season game, but this is a playoff game. It has that playoff vibe. Because if you lose this game, number one, you're not getting... Your season's on the line if you lose 2 in a row anyway, but... it's just going to feel pitiful that you get so hard to this point and then you just, collapse. It's confusing, but it'll be easier to explain it as we go along this week. But the Cubs are hosting this game because they went 11-8 against the Brewers this season. So I wonder what would have happened if both teams were tied in the season series. But yes, the Cubs went 11-8 in the regular season. So that's why they will be hosting this game tomorrow. Jose Quintanilla will be starting for the Cubs tomorrow. He will not be going on short rest, so he's not on short rest. So his record is 13-11 with a 4.09 ERA, and he has 154 strikeouts and almost 200 innings pitched for this season. He has very good numbers against the Brewers, 6-2, 1.60 ERA, 63 strikeouts. And he's even pitched a shutout against the Brewers. So, we don't know who Milwaukee starter will be tomorrow. Jhoulys Changin or Jace Anderson are the options who wouldn't be on short rest. Though Anderson hasn't pitched since September 18th. So it looks like it'll be Jansen or a bullpen game. Right, so it's most likely going to be Jansen. Has to be Jansen because he has the best record. Another factor in this game tomorrow will be Christian Yelich. Obviously the leading MVP candidate in the National League. Yelich can still win the Triple Crown. Home runs, Yelich was passed by Nolan Arenado. So pretty much if Christian Yelich, because this is technically a regular season game, right? So that would mean if Christian Yelich gets 2 home runs, he will win the National League Triple Crown. So history is on the line. This is just beyond crazy. I'm just... Right. Javier Baez. 2 RBIs. So these numbers are just spectacular. Chris Bryant is another factor. But yeah, that's the preview for that game. And lastly, we will finish up with Rockies versus Dodgers. Here's what we need to know about tomorrow's game. So, the Dodgers will be hosting this game tomorrow. That's a 4:09 p.m. start. Since the Dodgers won the regular season series against Colorado, the Dodgers went 12-7 against the Rockies in the regular season and outscored them by a margin of 98-69. The Dodgers will host the tiebreaker game. The Dodgers this season were actually at worse at Dodger Stadium than they were on the road with a .580 average. The Rockies have a respectable .543 win percentage in road games this season. But, however, this season, the LA Dodgers went 6-3 against the Rockies at home. The last time these two met, the Dodgers swept the Rockies in Los Angeles. So pretty much this favors the Dodgers in a sense. Now, keeping in mind here, and I may have mentioned this yesterday, and if I didn't, Colorado Rockies in their whole franchise have never won the National League West. So obviously the whole country is going to be rooting for the underdog here. I would like to see Colorado win for the fact that they've been around for 23 years and they've never won the division. So I would like to see that happen tomorrow, and it would be sweet to see it at Dodger Stadium because I know, Mocha, if you're watching this, I know you're rooting for Colorado tomorrow like I am because honestly, I want to see the Rockies win the division. It would be an historic accomplishment in their franchise because every time they've been to the playoffs, they've been a wild card team. And if anybody does not remember the 2007 World Series, the Rockies beat the National League West winning Diamondbacks. So So if anybody doesn't remember that series, I'm sorry, but that is why I'm bringing up my points here. Much at stake. So once again, losers in both games, Central and the West. And that's why people are going to be keeping an eye on this in both divisions, because you need to know who you might be playing, and if you lose, you have to know who you're playing. Okay, German Marquez will be starting for the Rockies. Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. Bullpens will be a factor, of course. The Dodgers are trying to win their 6th straight NL West title. If they do, then they'll join the Yankees and Braves as the only franchises to at least win 6 straight divisional championships. And as I mentioned before, Rockies, they've never won it before. They've won a National League pennant, but, some numbers here about Buehler and Marquez. So that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. No more information I can give you other than the fact that, again, I will remind everybody about tomorrow's game. That Game 1 will be at 1 o'clock for Brewers at Cubs, and then Rockies versus Dodgers will be at 4 o'clock Eastern. Both games will be on ESPN. If you are going to the games, I'll give you your time, so that way you can be on time for the games. If you're in the Central Time Zone, and you might be playing hooky to get off work, that game is at high noon Central tomorrow. If you're going to be going to the game in the West Coast tomorrow, that is a 1 o'clock start time. That's 1 o'clock Pacific. New York, that's 4 o'clock Eastern. So obviously, again, I know I'm going to be watching, and as I said, I know I don't have to worry about till Wednesday night when the Yankees are playing the Athletics for the wild card, of course. So I will be watching that game on Wednesday night. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. Till the next one, enjoy the games tomorrow, and please take care.